Let's start right here in the first row on the right.
Hey, Mark. Joel Lorenzi with the Oklahoma. Indy won every quarter but the fourth. That's the first time you've won a fourth quarter all series. What did you feel through the course of the game, and then what changed in the fourth for you guys?
Yeah, I just thought we showed great will in the game. I thought, we really hung in there in the third. I thought that was the key to the game because they really had the wind at their back. We had some deflating plays. It was an easy game to give up on, but we kept it within striking distance, 8-10, and then we were able to close in the fourth. I thought Lou, in particular, just set an unbelievable tone defensively in the fourth quarter that was kind of contagious, but his energy, and he was just on it and was very impressive. Got great performances from a lot of guys, but I thought he really kind of swung the game with his approach when he went back in the game.
First row on the right.
Mark, down 4 with a few minutes left. Kind of felt like your season was on the line there. What did you see from Shea to get you home?
Yeah, I mean, he's unreal, obviously. Really closed that thing offensively. He and Dub, did a great job there. Just execution-wise, the shot making, he was outstanding. But I just thought the whole team, that was an uphill game against a great team. I mean, this is one of the best teams in the league in the last couple months since All-Star break. And they're a hard team to beat here. They're a hard team to beat, period, obviously. So I just thought we gutted it out on a night where we really didn't have a lot going, especially offensively.
Second row, middle, Barry.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. Going on what you just said, just how hard it looked like everything was hard, even when you're producing points or even stopping them. Just looked like they were getting better shots. Just looked like the whole night was just hard.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they're a great team. There's again one of the best teams since All-Star break. They've been on an incredible run in these playoffs. They play with unbelievable confidence. They play with unbelievable competitiveness. And I just thought they were super physical on the perimeter again tonight with their pressure and made the game very difficult on us. I thought we were able to tap into that in the fourth quarter, especially on the defensive end.
Second row on the left.
Daniel Belbia. So the last couple minutes of the game, their offense didn't really get much going. What did you see from you guys to kind of take them out of most of their actions down the stretch?
Yeah, really good execution, made them earn everything. Just like competitive will, I just thought we showed great will tonight. Lou, Chet, Caruso was huge, obviously. K. Rich gave us huge minutes. Dub, all those guys on the defensive end especially. I thought we really made them earn everything. Came up with the ball, executed on offense.
Fourth row on the right.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports, back here, Coach. Along the lines on that defensive end, Chet down the stretch, continually in those switches, working on their guards. How confident are you when he draws one of those assignments? And what did you see from him tonight when he held up out there?
Yeah, he held up great. It's, we don't do that a ton with him because he's just so impactful at the rim. But he can really switch. And it's funny, when he was coming out of the draft, that was one of the things that they really recognized with him, is that he's very switchable. He's got great feet. And we just found ourselves behind the ball in a lot of plays tonight, and the switching was able to get that under control late. But we can't do that unless he can do that, and he was outstanding tonight.
Second row all the way to left.
Yeah, Anthony Snyder with The Athletic. You mentioned in your previous Shea answer that you felt him and Jalen really executed offensively down the stretch. I mean, he did score 15 in your final 16. Are you talking about getting the switches you wanted? And I guess how specifically would you say they executed really well?
Just, getting us to good spots, getting us into offense against pressure, and just they just played that two-man game for the majority of the stretch. And Jalen did a great job of getting us organized there, getting the ball to him, and he obviously delivered big time.
All the way in the back on the left, Candace.
Mark, Candace Buckner, Washington Post. There were a crap ton of free throws throughout the game. Do you think, besides your defense, that also played a little bit of a factor in kind of throwing off the rhythm for a team that depends on pace as much as the Pacers do?
Well, there were a crap ton of fouls. That's why there were a crap ton of free throws. I thought the refs did a good job tonight. Both teams shot a lot of free throws. It was physical. I don't know. I thought, that was what the game was, but it's a physical game, on both ends of the floor for both teams.
Third row here on the right.
Rohan Nocturne, NBC News. You mentioned in the third quarter it felt like they really had the wind at their back. I think at one point they went up 10. You have a very young team. This felt like probably the biggest moment a lot of them had been in. How impressed were you that they kind of didn't let go of the rope in that situation?
I'm always impressed by our team. Great poise, great confidence, great connection. The communication on the bench I thought was outstanding. Most of the guys that weren't playing, I thought were like Jay Will. Had an unbelievable voice tonight in a lot of those huddles. When you're on the road like that, it's just you. That's your unit. And those guys did a great job staying in it because that was a hard game. And a hard game for us. We just could not get a lot going for a lot of especially the third. And just to hang in there, it just kind of showed who we are. I didn't think it was anything different from what we've been, but we definitely showed who we were in that situation.
First row all the way to the left.
Mark, all season long, you guys have prioritized the paint to be kind of recession-proof. What did you see in terms of just the resolve and the game plan commitment that your guys had, even when shots were going in for them and weren't for you, particularly in the first half?
Yeah, I thought we kind of manufactured that win, with the defense down the stretch, certainly, but, paint defense, second chance points. We're 3 for 17 from 3, but got to the paint ourselves and, like I said, just kind of scraped together enough to win the game. And you got to be able to win games like that. It's not always going to be pretty, especially in the playoffs against a great team on the road.
First row right here, Jenny.
Hey, Mark. Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. You mentioned Alex in passing, but he scores 20 and hits 7 of 9 shots. I mean, in addition to all the defense, what about his game tonight maybe helped not only young guys in a tough situation, but just the tangibles that he brought tonight?
No, he's a competitive monster, clearly, and he's proven that time and again over his career, certainly in these playoffs. But he was huge tonight, offensively, even early in the game. But yeah, both ends help on ball. He's just, I can't say enough about him as a competitor.
Ramona, third row.
Mark, Ramona Shelburne, ESPN. What's Shea's demeanor like at the end of games like that? Especially towards when it was really tight and he went on that 5-point flourish and stuff in the huddles.
Same demeanor as always. You really wouldn't know whether he's up 3, down 3, up 30, down 30. Eating dinner on a Wednesday. He's pretty much the same guy. So it's unbelievable. He really didn't have it going. A lot of the night he was laboring. We had a hard time shaking him free. And for him to be able to flip the switch like that and get the rhythm he got is, just speaks to how great of a player he is. And again, it's nothing we don't know, but he definitely showed who he is tonight.
Right.
What do you attribute that to? Why is he always just so unflappable?
That's him. You got to ask him. He's just got a great temperament. He's always been like that, as long as he's been here. We've lost 40-point games, and worse, and he's been the same guy. He's just got an unbelievable command over himself. And I think his poise and his confidence is contagious among the team and has been for the 5 years. And I think Dort, I mentioned Dort, his physicality, his fearlessness, competitiveness, those two guys over the last 5 years, that's what they provided us, and that's what they gave us tonight. They were huge.
Right here in the middle.
Josie Pavone, Clutch Points. Coach, I was going to ask you about, who said anything in the huddle that was significant. You answered it with Jay Will. So I'll pivot to this. For people who haven't been necessarily following this team closely, just speak to what SGA, like you said, the two-man game between SGA and Jalen Williams, and how huge they were and how, what they do in that fourth quarter and late game execution, what you've seen all season long, and to do it on the biggest stage and arguably the biggest games of their careers. How incredible is that hearing?
Yeah, I just thought, we've really slammed the door on games for a lot of the season. We've done a really good job, and in games 1 and 3, we didn't do a great job of it. And, I just thought that was kind of our best rhythm of the night, is the stretch. And those guys had a lot to do with it. And so we got to get better now. That's a really good team that has really found some solutions against us. So as we go home, we have to evaluate things on both ends of the floor. But in the meantime, that was just like a great blood and guts win.
Second row, Barry. Right behind you.
Yeah, Mark. You went back to the big lineup and didn't get off to a very good start. What made you went back to it twice more in the game? What did you like about it, even when things didn't go well early?
That lineup has very distinct strengths, and you can draw on it at different times. It was a point to get Hart more minutes tonight. I thought he's been helpful in his minutes. But But in terms of the lineup, I mean, we go into every game trying to figure out the formula to win that game, and that's what we thought was best to win Game 4 tonight.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thank you.